Survey after survey, people say, what's their biggest fear? Public speaking. Not me. I love public speaking. I loved it since I was a kid. I loved getting up in front of the class, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I used to string it out so I could stay up on the stage longer. So, my biggest fear is not public speaking, it's that I won't be invited. And that happened to me a lot when I started to go around trying to speak and talk about my books. I spoke for too long. I talked about the wrong subjects, and I wasn't always good about picking who I was speaking to. Here's a tip: you probably shouldn't talk to people who aren't going to be interested in what you have to say. Nevertheless, when I went and talked to the Jane Austen Old Lady Book Club, I thought they were over the top when they jeered me and told me I was a no talent loser. But still, that didn't stop me. I called the head of a local organization and said, "Hey, Bob, can I come talk about my book to your breakfast meeting?" Long pause. "Well, Jim, word of your talk has gotten around, and we would prefer 10 minutes of awkward silence." So that's my first objective today. I want to be more interesting than 10 minutes of awkward silence. I know that's a low bar, but here I go. The theme of my talk is when you see a line, don't get in it. Whenever there's a good quote like that, it gets attributed to all kinds of people. Yogi Berra, the Dalai Lama. No, it was Mark Twain who said it. No, it was Ophelia from Hamlet. I do a lot of research for my books, and I've noticed a trend. People make up self-serving Albert Einstein quotes. They just make them up out of thin air. I guess they think that if they say Einstein said it, people will believe it. For example, the best investment you can make is aluminum siding. It's not me who said it. Albert Einstein said that in his acceptance speech for the Nobel Prize. Is that true? No, it's a lie. People lie to you all the time. It's not just some guy saying, aluminum siding. It's your boss, it's your loved ones, it's your friends. If you don't believe me, do you play golf? How about the guys you play golf with? If you're in a book club, how about the people who won't admit they didn't read the book, even under vigorous cross-examination? They figure they'll just lie. They'll just lie their way through it. Lying is one of the themes of all my books. In fact, I say lying is the default response of the human condition, and there's a scientific reason for that. The people who were the best liars got the most chances to reproduce. Somewhere in our long prehistoric history, we have a common ancestor who said, "Hey, baby, you look great in that loincloth." So, after all this evolution, there's a benchmark. If someone lies to you 20% of the time, you should consider that person honest. I didn't come up with a benchmark. It was Albert Einstein. It's part of the theory of relativity. See, it's convincing. Now, if aliens come to Earth and they don't realize people are liars, and they point their ray gun at the guy and say, "Take me to your leader," who knows where he might take him? He might take him to Dairy Queen and say, "This is the queen." But I'm different. Not that I tell the truth. I tell you that I'm lying. In fact, in the time I've been talking, I've lied to you twice already, and I plan to lie to you again. Let's go back to our quote. When you see a line, don't get in it. Who said that? Warren Buffett. What did he mean when you see a line? He means when you see everybody already doing the same thing, it's too late. Don't get in that line. If you want to be successful, you have to do something different. Buffett's talking about investing, but for my purposes, I'm talking about promoting a book. When I wrote my first book, I self-published on Amazon, and to my amazement, it did not instantly become a New York Times bestseller. What's wrong with people? I thought. Are they stupid? It can't be me. After a few weeks, I hadn't sold any books, and I figured it must be me. I'm gonna have to learn how to market my book.
Mhm.
So, what did I do? I went online. If you wanna get a lot of emails, go online and ask about marketing a book, because the next day you will get 300 emails. I can market your book. We can sell your book. We can promote your book. Just give us your credit card number and we'll get you on the bestseller list. Yes, there are some dishonest people who take advantage of authors who are desperate to sell their books. These people are vulnerable. They just spent 2 years pouring their guts into writing a book, and now they're not selling any copies.
Mhm.
But there are honest people who do book promotion as well, but they all have a formula, and it's pretty much the same formula. It worked well when Amazon first came out with publishing in about 2007. There wasn't much competition, and books like 50 Shades of Grey and The Martian were originally self published and very successful using the formula. So, guess what happened? Everybody jumped in and did the same thing. They all did the formula, or Buffett would say they all got in the same line. And by the time I wrote my first book, it was a long line. And I looked at it and said, I'm not getting in that line. It's too crowded and I'm too old. I can't compete with all these millennials in the social media space. I don't even know what a hashtag accomplishes. I've got to do something different. So I do three things to promote my books. I have a website, jimflynn6.com, and I put up a blog post every week. Second is I'm often a guest on podcasts, which are very successful. They're a great way to promote your books. And I listen to the podcast, I listen to other writers. I notice there aren't too many other guys who are funny. Often it'll be a guy who's writes about how tough his life is, and his struggle after his pet hamster had hernia surgery or something. And these guys are so serious and they're so earnest and they're so sincere. In contrast, the title of my first book is Be Sincere Even When You Don't Mean It. The third thing I do is I give talks in person because you never know who's going to be in the audience. And when I look at this audience today, I see attractive people who are obviously highly intelligent and I know want to help me promote my writing career. Remember when I said I was going to lie again? I'm done now. You might notice I haven't talked much about my books. That's because in a limited format, and I'm going to have 8 books published soon. And in a limited format, when I start throwing out titles, it confuses people and you lose the audience. And you know how you can tell when you lose the audience? They look at their cell phone. Sorry, Jim, but my cousin's hamster had hernia surgery today, and I've got to reply this text. That's okay, as long as you take me to Dairy Queen when the talk is over. So I decided I have a different goal. I want to expose you to my sense of humor. All my books are funny, but I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. If you like the cut of my jib today, please go to my website, jimflynn6.com. You can see all my books. You can read reviews. I only put up the good ones. And with a couple of clicks, you can buy a book or an audio book. If you want me to talk to your group or do a Zoom call, we can arrange that. I can talk about different themes. I can talk longer. Or if time is really a constraint, I can just lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're in the Jane Austen book club and you want a sensitive character study, I'm not your guy, but I hope I've been more entertaining and interesting than 10 minutes of awkward silence. Please visit my website, jimflynn6.com. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.